it's Betsy here, and I am talking to you guys who are kinship carers, and this time I want to try and give some top tips on how to help the children that you're looking after begin to recover from the difficult things that they've experienced. I'm sure that's what you'd really like for them, and I know that that's what they really like too. And as you know, something that I'm really excited about is helping children and young people recover from really tough and difficult experiences. So I want to give you some top tips. So they're called the ABCs of trauma recovery, because then I can remember as well, and maybe it'll help you remember. So the A starts with attitude or approach. And our attitude and approach is always one where we're believing the best about the children, even if their behaviour is awful, even if their big feelings are exploding everywhere. We really try and believe the best about them. By the way, I do this ABCs with the teachers, lots of different teachers around the country, to try and help them do the same kind of things. And I always start by going, even if the child in your class is really difficult, don't call them difficult, don't think of them as difficult. Try and see the gold in them and try and pull that out of them and focus on that rather than anything that could be tricky to manage. So the A, is about the attitude. We believe the best in them, we're kind, we're compassionate, and there's the brilliant word empathy. And when we're empathetic, what we are is we're standing in the shoes of the child and we're going, I wonder what it feels like for you. I wonder whether actually things are tough for you right now, and maybe you've got some big feelings that you don't know how to express safely. When we can stand in the shoes of a child, whether we're a teacher or a kinship carer, or whether we're looking after the child in another situation, it enables us to form that relationship, that bridge between us, because we're standing in their shoes and we're wondering, we're being curious about what it must feel like to be them. And they just value that. How do you find it? I find it really helpful when someone looks and they're like, I'm wondering how it must feel for you right now with this going on or that going on. I feel a bit valued. I feel like someone cares enough to step into my world where I am and wonder how I'm feeling. Maybe you feel the same as I'm trying to step into your world as kinship carers and think, I'm wondering what's going on for you. I wonder how it is for you. And as children first going, how can we strengthen you in the incredible job that you're doing? It's all run on empathy, isn't it? Standing in the shoes of another. So that's the A, attitude and approach. And you know, we can't do that on our own. We do need other people to help us, don't we? When we're having the bad days, when we're having the, oh my goodness, I can't pick up all the stuff on the floor again. It's that having friends and having, you know, people in our world that can champion us so that we can champion the kids. A. B is about the brain. And really what this is about is understanding about the brain and understanding how many of our behaviours come from a part of our brain that just causes us to be automatic and causes the children we're looking after to have automatic behaviours. When we understand that, we understand that actually kids can end up feeling really shameful and bad about themselves when they have automatic reactions that they don't seem to be able to control. Maybe they keep kicking their friend. And then they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't want to kick my friend. I don't want to be perceived or seen as a bad person. And so we can help them explain that, well, maybe your friend made you feel frightened and you had an automatic reaction of kicking them. You may think that doesn't sound like you're punishing them and you're telling them that's wrong, but actually, when we can go, I'm wondering if you felt frightened and so you kicked. So next time you feel frightened, you can do something else instead. And slowly we can teach the kids not to be so automatic in these defensive behaviours that then can often get them into trouble. And that's based on an understanding of how our brain works. You see, our brain is a little bit complicated, but basically when we feel frightened, we can't think, because this part of the brain, just our thinking brain, it goes offline. There's just not enough movement there, and so we can't think. Have you ever told a child off and gone, why did you do that? And they go, because they can't speak. They can't quite find the words. They just stare at you. That's often because they literally cannot find that part of their brain where they can speak. They're not trying to wind us up. They just can't find it. So what can we do to help them? Well, did you know we can actually do brain exercises We can. We can do brain exercises when they're feeling calm, which not only build our relationship with the child, but also actually helps their brain parts speak to each other more. So it makes them stronger. It makes them more healthy emotionally. So shall I tell you a couple of brain exercises? Okay, are you ready? There's one that's really simple. Have you ever in lockdown wanted a hug and maybe there hasn't been anyone around that can give you a hug? You know when you meet your friend in I don't know, a shopping place and you kind of have to elbow or do something like that or go wave at a distance because you can't give them a good hug. Well, a lot of our kids actually really want a hug, but they might be frightened of having a hug. They might go, oh, if I have a hug with somebody, then, you know, am I going to catch COVID or something? Or maybe they just are scared of people in case they get hurt. One of the things we can teach them to do, which not only brings them comfort, but also helps their brain talk to each other, the two different parts of their brain talk to each other, is this. You cross over your hands and you do that. How simple is that? You just cross over. Some of the little boys that I work with call that a Batman hug. I have no idea why, but they made that up. Batman hug. Some of the girls I work with call it a butterfly hug. And we just call it a nice crossover hug. But you can try it even now yourself. Honestly, it really is very helpful if you're just feeling fed up and you can give yourself a good squeeze, or you can stroke. When I teach the children how to do this, sometimes when they feel really fed up or sad or cross or grumpy, they do that. And you just find them sitting there doing that. And then we teach them to breathe properly while they're doing it. So in through their nose, out through their mouth. In through your nose, hold, and out through your mouth. Difficult to do it when you're talking. But breathing exercises while doing that hug actually does all sorts of clever things in the brain. That's what the crossing over is about. But also brings a real sense of calm. There's another one, a bit more complicated, but you put your arms out, you put the backs of your hands together, you cross over, and then you go up. I don't know if you got that. A lot of kids take a lot longer to learn it. But it's called strong sitting. And it's another way of helping the brain have the parts talk to each other, which makes us all stronger and makes our children's brains stronger. And then exactly like the Batman or the butterfly hug, they can pull in tight, do some good breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, and they can really have a sense of calm. I've taught lots of children who, in our therapy centres here, where they've been, having such problems at school, but they've explained to their teacher, if I suddenly do this, that's because I just need to catch my breath for a minute. I just need to stop myself kicking, hitting, screaming, wetting myself, running away, all of those different things that could happen. So there's just two little ideas of some brain exercises that you can do for yourself. All of us adults here do them, but also teach the kids you are caring for. Does anyone want to know what C is? We've done A, which is attitude, B, which is brain, and C, communicate alternatively. You see, we're all about not saying, don't be angry. We're going, actually you can be angry, but how can you communicate better that anger? Because if you feel angry and you're just going to take it out on me, or you're going to kick the chair, or you're going to hurt someone else, then we don't know what to do with that anger. But if you could learn how to communicate in a different way the anger, then that's fine. We'll help you feel the anger. Because you see, we can't just say to people, don't feel angry. A lot of the children that we're looking after have been through things that have made them feel angry. So what kind of things? I've got a few tools here. Just little things that are easy to find. I don't know if you use blue tack, but blue tack, the stuff you stick posters on the wall. This can actually be very helpful for children who are feeling cross to do this with. When they're really cross, look, it feels really good. So you can say to children, look, if you feel really angry, why don't you go and rip the blue tack? And you can say at the same time, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair. You might think, well, that's going to make them more angry. It really doesn't. It teaches them that anger is okay to feel, but we don't want to hurt themselves or anyone else when they feel it. We need to give them ways to communicate alternatively. There's other things like little pots of Play-Doh or little putty that we use for exactly the same thing, and they're just really helpful to do some pummeling and pulling and that kind of thing. There's other ways of communicating alternatively. I've just taken some things from my little box, and I don't know whether you're into tents. It's almost summer, but tents are great. And I've got a little toy tent here, and for some, I don't know, I've got this somewhere, but some children want to pretend, and they might have a little doll or something if they're little, or animals that they might hide in there. And for some children, they'd rather make a den out of, I don't know, old sheets and cushions and on the sofa. But you know, there's something about making a den and helping that child make the den, and then helping the child think, well, how do I feel inside my den? And even teenagers love making dens. They love making their dens, and they love making their dens and going, these are my rules for the den. I'll only have boys in my den. I'll only have girls in my den. I'll only have my granny in my den. I'll only have my teddy in my den. And it seems silly, but actually often these children have experienced trauma. Do you remember? It's terror and powerlessness. And that powerlessness can make them feel very powerless. And so when they have their own den with their own rules, they can feel more empowered, like they have power to make decisions and rules. And then they can feel safe. So with our communicating alternatively, which is our C, A, B, C, we can think of how to communicate anger, how to communicate sadness. Sadness is really difficult to say, isn't it? I feel sad. It doesn't seem to say what you feel. But when a child is able to say, I feel sad, we can then help them find maybe different smells. Here's a little hand cream tube. You know, what kind of smell? That smells really good. Can make you feel calm when you feel sad. Maybe a blanket might make you feel calm when you're sad. But smells are really good because smell goes right next to the fear centre of the brain and helps you feel better. So you can communicate sad and then have some comfort. All of those difficult feelings like frustration and anger and sadness, those feelings need to be expressed, and then we need to help the children work out how can we help them communicate that in a way that makes you feel better, not worse. I hope that's helpful. The A, B, C's of trauma recovery are attitude and approach, remembering about the B for brain, and then C, how can we communicate alternatively all of those different feelings and fears and things that are going on inside. Hope that's helpful. You guys are doing an amazing job. Well done for being kinship carers. See you soon.